Are we live, even though it says?
We're live with the counter.
Got it. Okay. I'll just wait for the counter then.
It's missing like a little elevator music.
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to the Autonomous Labs Developer Sync for the 27th of January, 2025. Already a month has gone by. It's crazy. All right. Well, we can just jump in. I'm just going to start with a couple of general updates or maybe coordination items that we can just have a quick discussion around. I know we are imminent on the Developer Hub, which is amazing, Emil, launching. I just wanted to make sure that as we're doing that, we're going to have a couple of um, releases happening in the next day or so. I want to make sure we have that coordinated. So we will have likely the version 0.2.0 of autonomous agents launching, which is going to have quite a few breaking changes. We've kind of redone the whole way characters are handled. And we're going to have auto drive um, mainnet, which is going to have some implications for the SDK. So are we, at first, what's the schedule, Emil, on the launch of Developer Hub right now?
Yeah, so technically it's already up and working. So whenever if you
Okay.
try to navigate to the existing docs, you will be redirected to the new developer hub.
Okay.
But the all kind of major release and the kind of social media campaign is going off tomorrow. So like
Okay.
the major release tomorrow.
Okay. So any updates we should try and get in there before people are going to it and trying to use it. So
Yeah, that's correct.
cool. And then I know, Jim, you're going to be talking about this in a minute, but I just wanted to make sure you and Mark were on the same page with Stake Wars, timing, Astral. Are, Mark, are you going to be giving an update later on where we are with Astral? And
Yeah.
okay, so the key thing I want to make sure we get that we're coordinating on is that staking is 100% prepared for Stake Wars 2.1 timing. So let's just make sure as a takeaway from today that we're aligned on that. So with that, Jim, why don't you go ahead and jump in with a plethora of community updates that I can see you have here.
Yeah, my notes look longer. We should be relatively quick today, though. Okay, thanks, Jeremy. So, no big issues or real hot topics on the farming front, apart from, of course, we are still getting lots of questions about when Stake Wars 2. So when is it going to start? And our progress on the mainnet phase 2 roadmap that we've released. So stay tuned, guys. You will be hearing about that soon. And as Jeremy's just given you a preview, we're calling it Stake Wars 2.1 at the moment, just so that we don't confuse what was Stake Wars 2, the original, with what we've got coming up. Other than that, yeah, so the network does seem very stable. We did see, I think someone posted in Discord actually, that we broke 600 petabytes very recently. It is fluctuated just slightly under at the moment, but that's kind of quite normal. We do have a kind of an effect where the space kind of goes up and down a little bit quite regularly. So yeah, we're just slightly under that figure today. Other than that, yeah, also in Discord, it's really lovely to see some entries for the Horizon Developer Challenge starting to come in. If you want to see what's going on there, check out the developer chat channel in Discord to catch up. That's where our builders in the community are posting their entries as we speak. And while we're talking about that channel, actually, you can see there conversations going on about the autonomous agents framework. which is definitely worth checking out and could be a very quick way to spin up an entry for the Horizon Developer Challenge. The competition's pretty stiff, I must say. Some guys have kind of delivered a lot of value there. So yeah, but you would in effect be satisfying the rules by, you know, if you can come up with a creative agent to deploy, it'd be great to hear how quickly you're able to get one spun up, because it does end on Friday. So that is, I believe we're going to be probably midnight UTC on Friday this week. So you've got just about 4.5 days left to create an entry. And I want to give a shout out to Mark. He's on the call. He's active in that channel. He's sharing his experience and his insights. So we love that. Thank you, Mark.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Right, as Jeremy said, we have internal provisional start dates for Stake Wars 2.1 and the Autonomous Aurora Buildathon. I'm not going to mention too much about that at the moment. What I will say on Stake Wars, though, is that there will be a sign-up form open this week. So this is not like an application to join the initiative. We're just going to collect your contact details, whatever you want to provide, so that we can ping you when we're ready to start inviting operators to get set up. So watch this space. Keep an eye on announcements. We'll be talking about that later on. And yeah, on the Aurora buildathon, that's going to be introduced on developer office hours next week, because this week on Wednesday at our usual slot, 1600 UTC, we'll be having farmer office hours, and then next week we're going to have developer office hours in that same slot on a Wednesday. Also, while we're talking about office hours, Ryan ran an experimental product office hours last Friday. I'm here to catch up with him to find out, you know, how much value was delivered. But if it proved fruitful, we will be continuing that initiative. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, we'll probably be talking on that on farmer office hours. A quick reminder that we have drip campaigns ongoing in Discord. So if you want to play some cool games, complete some quests, and build some points up there, I know that Ryan's got some ideas for there's some interesting prizes in the works. Please do check that out. That's the drip channels in Discord. And finally, yes, we are planning to have a number of team at ETH Denver. We absolutely love to catch up with any community members who are going to be in attendance. You can expect us. We're going to be, you know, producing some announcements around that a bit closer to time. But yeah, that if you want to reach out like now, I'm Jim at autonomous.xyz. That's my email. Feel free to send me a ping. That's everything on the community side for the moment. Join us on Farmer Office Hours on Wednesday for more. Thank you, Jeremy.
Doesn't sound like there's hardly anything going on in the community. So, all right, moving on. Ved, you guys have been hard at work. You know, last time we talked about improvements being made to the EVM performance. I know there's been further. You want to catch us up on where we're at?
Yeah, so we did some major performance improvements specifically towards the EVM, or not just EVM, any domain block execution. So to just go into a little bit of details there, what we do for the execution is we did a benchmark about 8,000 transactions in a single domain block and see how we could actually fare. It turns out to be around a costly time, like around 260 seconds or so, which is not what we were ideally looking for. And then that's where our starting point was, and we started checking upstream, like what are the things that we could ideally make. One of the important things that we do there is for every execution of every transaction, we do calculate a state route to be more technical. And these are the state routes that we call intermediate routes that are used to provide fraud proofs if in case those are not matched by the honest operators. This could be manipulated by a malicious operator to actually get it through, and so that's how honest operators use these intermediate routes. These intermediate routes are published as part of the ER. but everyone has their own version of that. Everyone has their own view of those intermediate rules, and then they do a cross check, and then fraud proofs are generated. Turns out generating these intermediate proofs after every transaction within the runtime provided by the upstream is costly. And that was first why it was going around 260 seconds or so. So what we did as a first step was to move that particular piece of code with some modifications from the upstream into the client side rather than runtime side. That significantly reduced the execution period from 267 seconds or so to around 16 seconds. But that was a huge boost, like around 93% of change in the execution time. We didn't stop there. We still wanted to come around less than 3 seconds, which is what a usual block execution time is for a given substrate based node. Since it's a 6 second block time, so 3 seconds are given for the network and broadcasting, etc. So we want to be around 3 seconds or so. Then we started looking at the upstream code base itself to see if there are any potential issues there, and we did find some. We have an upstream PR open. We haven't initiated any discussion with them. We just want to be sure if those are the ones that's causing the issues, and we actually achieved around 2.4 seconds execution time after that. Those are still, that particular implementation is still not yet into the subspace repository yet. Only the main changes that went in are up until 16 seconds. We are still working on the remaining optimizations that bring us down to 2.4 to 3 seconds. That requires a little bit of conversations with upstream because we are essentially changing the upstream code base to actually make it work for us. And it would ideally benefit the ecosystem itself, because it's not just going to be us who is be benefiting with those optimizations, but rather anyone who is using that particular piece of code. So that is the main optimizations that we've been working at. And yeah, like we'll keep you posted during the next step, saying like how the second optimization levels going in, and then if we are able to get them in, they should be moved to Taurus in a runtime upgrade as well.
That's pretty amazing improvements. Practically speaking, what does this look like for EVM transfers, like transfers per
EVM transfers too. Like it's going to be around 16 seconds right now without the second
Okay.
optimization, but they
Okay.
would still come down to be less than 3 second sub or so post that. But we still need to do some more benchmarks on the second optimization yet. So I
Okay.
do want to
So-
say it, but I just want to keep myself a little bit behind. I'll be skeptic about it.
So is it fair to, so that's 8,000 transactions in a block.
Yeah.
We expect a block to be 6 seconds so half of that's execution, half is propagation. So are we looking at a little over 1,000 transactions per second out of the EVM, we think?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
we are. So that's one more thing. Like we still are benchmarking the actual EVM gas optimizations. Like we haven't had a chance to look at actually calculating how much time it would take. But our optimistic number so far has been below 3 seconds, and for 1,000 transactions, it'll be much faster. You could think of it in terms of like a millisecond execution time. I'm
Oh, wow.
only generally talking about the maximum amount, that is 8,000. If we just put all the 8,000 transactions into as many bundles as possible in a single consensus block, and when we derive a huge domain block that contains all of these 8,000 transactions, that's going to be the total time it would take, around 3 seconds if the second optimization goes in.
Okay, great. All right, well, nice work. Moving on, Saeed, a lot of work in the last couple of weeks on agents, a lot of work still planned. You want to catch us up?
Yeah, sure. So one of the biggest changes was moving to the orchestrated design. So previously, it was a bit of deterministic flow. It started with the task A, B, C to the end. The way how the agent was working inside each task was autonomous, but moving between these tasks was deterministic. So one of the changes that we made is to make this flow also autonomous. So the agent itself will be planned to execute which task in which order. We got the best result with Claudius Sonnet 3.5. So if you want to test, please test with that one. We are still working on to improving with other LLMs, specifically DeepSeek that announced on Friday. It got a lot of attention. We will actively working on that. And yeah, that's one of the biggest changes. The another one is we added the feature of having vector databases inside the flow, that the agent will have a memory. We were looking at as a short-term memory for the flow, that it will look at the previous interactions, previous knowledge that it gathered from different flows. And if it needs to generate and execute inside the task, and it depends on other information, it will quickly retrieve that data from the vector database. And yeah, that was like two big changes that came up. I know Jeremy also worked on the multi-character support inside the flow. I guess you will talk about this, right? So just two more things about the memory viewer. We moved from memory to experience. So expect to see like agent experience viewer, because we are looking at the memory viewer as a data set that the future agents also can use in order to enhance their interaction, their decision making, and etc. And it is going to be multi-agent support. So right now we are just using it for arguments, but in the coming days is going to be for as many agents as we want. So we also generalized the design of this experience viewer, etc. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, it's fun to fun to be watching it, progress. There's this flow from kind of deterministic, these are the steps to take to accomplish a goal. That's still useful, and I think we'll still see workflows going into the repo that are going to be a bit more deterministic. But it's also quite interesting to just let the AI decide on its own flow, which is what we're experimenting with right now with the orchestrator. And that'll include, we're going a bit away from the term memory for that permanent memory or the permanent storage, and more into this idea of learned experiences. And that even is going to be somewhat autonomous into how it's being saved. So it'll be up to the agent to decide what memories are useful for it to keep forever. So expect to see a lot of progress on that this week. And as Saeed mentioned, we also added support for multi-character development and deployment. So now the config kind of structure has changed quite a bit to be character first, and then kind of hierarchical. You can put in a bunch of different characters. You can start a bunch of different characters, and they'll all be able to maintain their own information, their own logs and configs. So, and then yeah, along those lines, we'll be releasing probably today, maybe tomorrow, version 0.2 of the agent framework, which is going to have this multi-character config. It's going to have the option for orchestration. It'll have support for DeepSeek and some other kind of vector databases, the saved experience tool. So a lot happening. All right, the backbone to much of what is going on with the agents, especially in looking at our permanent memories or permanent learned experiences, is around AutoDrive. Carlos, you want to catch us up on where we're at with AutoDrive?
Yeah, like the most important announcement for these 2 weeks for sure is the mainnet launch. Now AutoDrive is available on mainnet. It's available through the old domain AI3.storage. And yeah, basically now it's available. Yesterday we released a new version of the SDK that basically allows and implements multi-network, multi-chain support. So basically, if you had create an application using Taurus, you could update the version of the Auto SDK, and just when you create the API connection object, you just have to choose the mainnet network. The API key system and the user system is completely the same, so they are shared. So if you had an API key for the for Taurus, now it's the same API key for mainnet. So yeah, so that would be it. And basically, if you wanted to migrate files from the Taurus DSM to the to mainnet, you had to re-download it and upload it to mainnet. And yeah, that's like the biggest announcement. Later on, we're working on some improvements on the caching layer of AutoDrive that was leading to some errors that Mark raised during the weekend. And we will be working on optimizing and improving the performance of the file gateway.
It's worth noting, AutoDrive is many things. It's a whole stack, really, starting with the protocol and DSN, and then an object fetcher and indexer, a cache layer, and then AutoDrive. The UI for AutoDrive is kind of been this hybrid, kind of like Dropbox, but also with some developer focus, the ability to get API keys. We will probably be shifting the UI to being more developer focused as we're onboarding developers, and we're going to have different hackathons and stuff coming up. So be on the lookout for that. I know Amik, our head of product, is real keen to make it one of the easiest and best to use interfaces for developers going forward. So, all right, Mark, I think you're last on the list here, but of course not least. You want to catch us up on Astral?
Of course, before that, I want to say, I'm very happy to see 137 and counting viewers. That's amazing. It's cool that every DevSync, the amount of live viewers increased quite dramatically. So it's very exciting. Astral has changed quite a lot today. We pushed the main branch to production, so that's including a lot of change. Especially the first one to see is the reskin. We completely changed the colors, the typographies, to align with the Autonomys brands, the colors a lot more. I'm seeing one comment that seems to be related to that. Nanao, you keep mentioning that after the browser, I'm imagining we're talking about the Astral, has updated, the font was too thin and not aesthetically pleasing. Can it be optimized? Obviously, it can be optimized. I'm not seeing the same thing on my side, so I'll love to see a screenshot and tagging me on Discords to see what you're seeing. Is it like mobiles or is it browser? And trying to reproduce the same effect and fixing it, improving it. The next thing on my list, the leaderboard fix. So there was issue with farmers that managed to vote more than people that have huge farm that can vote more than one vote on the same block. These votes were ignored in the leaderboard count. So that has been fixed. So now the leaderboard results should be much more accurate. Various bug fix. One of them is the full data download button was not working on many page. It will just download the same data of the same page over and over. So that should have been fixed as well. Now Astral is using our new set or latest sets of indexers, and they are much more optimized. So for example, on Saturday morning, I wiped down our server and I resynced from scratch mainnet and testnet. And in about a day, I was able to index 900,000 blocks. So that improved our velocity for breaking change. So anytime that we need to improve things, so right now I'm working on the staking indexer, for example. If I have breaking change and I need to re-index from scratch, that makes it a lot easier to roll, bug fix or roll breaking change. So that's something I'm very happy about. And this lead me to the staking indexer. So in preparation for Stake War 2.1, I'm working on the staking indexer. I was planning on, I had worked on a minimal version. I was planning on releasing it at the same time as Astral, but it was creating too much bugs on the front end part. So I rolled back those change, and now I'm going to finish the staking indexer to make all the functionality working well, and then probably release it by the end of the week or so. So that's most of the change.
Great. I'll note regarding the UI, any feedback is greatly appreciated. We are going to be making some further kind of enhancements to it, some graphical updates and such to kind of even in greater fit our new theme, and just of course trying to continually improve the quality of the site. So.
One other improvement that I'm just remembering now that I didn't put on my list is in the file, also the permanent storage section. When you're looking at a file, now you can download it directly on Astral, and you can see much more details, so like the raw data or the upload options. If a file is encrypted, previously you'll just not see any preview and it will give you an error message. Now it's say like, oh, you cannot preview this file because it's encrypted, and so yeah, it's more transparent. So.
Are we going to support the ability to decrypt it in the browser?
That could be a very nice new feature. Yeah, I'm gonna create an issue on the repo for it.
Cool. All right. I see one other comment on here. Who added this? Was this you, Jim? Farmers should upgrade. We're at less than 50% in the latest version.
That's not one of mine, but I think you just did it.
All right, well, there you go. So farmers, please upgrade. Less than 50% are on the latest version. So let's, it's always, there's a reason we put out new releases. So please try to stay up to date and minimize any issues that may have been in previous releases. So. All right, well, I think that is all that we have for this week. I look forward to seeing everyone back here in 2 weeks.